So Eric Swalwell is polling like number 2 behind Steve Hilton right now. And then I believe it's Chad Bianco and everyone else after that. But Eric Swalwell's polling at like, I don't know, 14, 15%, something like that right now. But Polymarket has him at 60% to be the next governor of California. And if you ask me, that's because Polymarket factors in the shenanigans that we have going on in California here. The shenanigans like, everybody gets mailed a ballot. Every registered California voter gets mailed a ballot in the mail, which started, ironically, right when Gavin Newsom was getting recalled. And the excuse that they used to do universal mail-in ballots, not absentee ballots that we've had ever since we were kids. Like if you're overseas or you're serving in the military, you can apply for an absentee ballot. Well, universal mail-in ballots are completely different. People try to conflate the two all the time. But even back when we had absentee ballots only for mail-in voting, that was the number one form of voting that was the most susceptible to fraud. Now everybody gets mailed a ballot, including people that don't live here anymore, that are still technically registered to vote. And, I'm going to skip the rest of the Eric Swalwell stuff because he just frankly annoys me. So something that is going on with these mail-in ballots, this should put stuff in perspective here. So I talked about J.J. Smith in San Francisco last week, where he walked around the corner in the Tenderloin and he saw a bunch of people standing in line, and he asked them what they were doing. And he said, they're going to pay us $5 for our signature. He was like, what the hell? What is this? And he walks up to the front of the line and he sees a woman sitting there at the table, and he starts asking her questions. And he was like, I'll get $5 for a signature. And she's like, yeah, $5. And he was like, well, what is it? And she says, just sign it. Just sign it. He doesn't know what he's signing. They're not telling anybody what they're signing. So they're collecting signatures for a ballot measure to get a ballot, to get a measure onto the ballot that Americans will vote for. In order to get a measure on the ballot, you have to collect a certain amount of signatures from registered voters. Well, they're paying homeless people to do it. They're paying them $5, which is already illegal. It's already illegal to pay somebody to sign a ballot initiative. On top of that, this organization had printed out names of registered voters, and they were telling these homeless people to sign someone else's name that was on a list of registered voters. Now, how insane is that? But then you think, well, how do they know that this registered voter isn't going to notice this? They're not going to see somewhere on some sort of database, hey, I signed this ballot initiative. Well, then you think, I wonder how many of these universal mail-in ballots are being mailed out and the people no longer live here, or the people are dead. And I wonder if there's a database where you can use AI to create a database where these voters no longer live here. They're still registered, but they no longer live here, or they've died. They're inactive voters. And that's another reason why I don't want to clean the voter rolls. Well, if you have a list of all these people, that's free ballots. That's free ballots. They're doing it for a ballot initiative. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like they've acquired a list or created a list of registered voters that no longer live here, and they know that they can use that voter's name to sign a ballot initiative. Why wouldn't they do the same thing with universal mail-in ballots? Okay, are you guys following what I'm saying right there? So another example of this popped up. So James O'Keefe was out there. And so the J.J. Smith thing that I just told you about, that was in San Francisco. Well, another instance happened out in L.A. So this practice seems to be running rampant in California. And I think we have stumbled across the biggest smoking gun of voter fraud. And it's exactly what we talked about here. I'll explain it again. You have all of the registered voters, and then you find all of the people that are still registered to vote in California that have moved out, or they're dead, or some other thing where they're not in California. They're not going to notice if their ballot was used. You create a list of all those people, and you can use it for two things. You can use it for ballot initiatives that favor the supermajority Democrats, or when it comes time to actually vote, you can fraudulently fill out those ballots with those people's names, and you can shove them in at the last moment. You guys with me? Does that make sense? I mean, that's not complicated to follow. And it sounds like a effective way to rig elections, doesn't it? So I suspect that that's actually going on. Let's watch a few minutes of this thing that James O'Keefe's discovered, which is the exact same thing that J.J. Smith discovered.
So do you want to sign? Okay. The first name.
I'm Joseph Albright. Okay.
The first name.
Joseph Albright.
Okay, you see that? So this person's collecting signatures, and he tells that's clearly a woman, but he tells her to sign as Joseph Albright out of Riverside.
Fraudulent petitioners on Skid Row are now paying the homeless to forge names, forge addresses, and forge signatures of registered voters.
What are you using? Teresa.
No, I'm gonna give you your address to write.
Oh, okay.
Follow directions.
Okay, yeah.
Quickly becoming a widespread scheme that can be found on almost every street corner in downtown Los Angeles.
So you gonna go do this, they're gonna give you another $3. Then you gonna do somebody else, they're gonna give you another $3.
So you see that? We're going to give you $3 for every time you sign. So it looks like it's not just him collecting signatures. They got a whole bunch of other organizations out there collecting signatures. Now, Ashley Zavala reported on this, and she started asking state legislators about it. And they're like, she asked the Secretary of State, Shirley Weber. And they're like, we're going to look into this. And these organizations are like, we're going to crack down on this. Where are these people getting the money? Where are they getting the lists of registered voters? This isn't something that they're taking in upon themselves to do. I'm going to go out and collect signatures. I'm going to acquire this list of registered voters, and I'm going to pay people out of my own pocket to do this. Come on. This goes all the way up to the top of these organizations and probably goes up to the top of the California state legislature. If I was to speculate, allegedly, that's what I think's happening.
So you guys are all working together.
You scared me.
We find thousands of names and addresses of registered voters being handed out to the homeless on scraps of paper.
Oh, cool. They pay you? How much? Oh, what name you have there? Oh, it's Vicky Walker. You're Vicky, huh?
They gave me the name.
Oh, cool.
We track down the disenfranchised voters at their homes to get the reaction to their signature being forged.
So here's another thing. So they're going to the registered voter's home, and they're going to confront the registered voter. Well, listen to what this person says.
Giving names of currently registered voters, and one of them is a Vicky Walker. I assume that's his address?
Still get her ballot, but...
You still get her ballot?
Oh, how about that? We live here. We're not Vicky Weber, whatever he said, but we still get her ballot in the mail. I wonder where Vicky is. I wonder if she still lives here. I wonder if she's still alive. But the point is, this should illustrate how insane the universal mail-in ballots thing is. It's not just like, you see how these tie together, how the list of registered voters to collect signatures for ballot initiatives can translate to universal mail-in voting. It's the exact same form of fraud. It's the exact same thing. This is why universal mail-in ballots are such a huge problem. If you just got rid of universal mail-in ballots, everybody had to vote in person and show ID to do it, that would wipe probably 80% of the fraud off the map right there. So why do you think Democrats fight fight so hard to have universal mail-in ballots and fight so hard against requiring ID? And many people don't know this either. In California, you don't have to ask ID if you're a polling station in a certain county or a certain city. It's illegal. It's illegal for the polling people to ask you to provide ID when you vote. They made it illegal. How insane is that?
Yeah, doesn't live here. I bought this house nearly 9 years ago.
Okay.
That's why I always feel really weird when I get the voting ballot. It's like, obviously that's fraudulent.
Definitely want to stay informed. We definitely want to follow through on this and see where they're getting this information, how they're getting this information.
Yeah. I just hope we get a stop to this soon. I mean, I didn't know that they were using my name and the address for what's political fraud. That's what it is, right? Yeah. Just hopefully the governor and the district attorney or whatever just put a stop to this. Yeah.
So you guys get it. They're paying people for signatures, but that's to me, that's not even the big story here, that they're paying people for signatures. The big story is that they have a list of registered voters. And I would bet my next paycheck that that list that they have is people that they've verified no longer live here or are no longer alive, but they're still on the voter registrar. So I think this is a huge scandal, if you ask me, a giant scandal. So I'll play this again. I played it last week, but this is the thing that JJ Smith found. So that was in LA, James O'Keefe, what he just played there. Now this is in San Francisco. The exact same thing happening that JJ Smith came across, and this became like a national story.
This investigation centers on this video that is circulating online. It appears to show paid signature collectors in San Francisco offering money to people on the streets if they sign the petitions using other people's voter registration information. This would be a violation of state law. KCRA 3's political director Ashley Zavala is here now. So let's start with who's.
Ashley looks pissed too. Like, look at this. And I don't think Ashley is I don't think she's a conservative or Republican. I think she's, I don't know what her political affiliation is, and that's why she's such a good reporter. You don't know what her politics are. But look at her face. Look how pissed she looks. Because I mean, she's the only one that's in like a mainstream news outlet that's actually part of the press corps that gets to ask Gavin Newsom questions. She's the only one that actually asks him tough questions. She's covering the Capitol Annex project, which she just asked him about again today. And Gavin had no answers for that one. But look how pissed she looks. I love Ashley. She's great.
Is here now. So let's start with who's involved.
Yeah, well, this video is raising a lot of flags for folks tonight. These signature gatherers are people who are paid to find registered voters and get those voters to sign petitions. And when they get enough signatures, the proposal lands on the ballot and is presented to you, the voter. It is against the law for anyone to forge someone else's information. But the man who captured the scene on video tells us that's exactly what has been happening in San Francisco.
I get $5 too?
Yeah.
And what is it?
Just sign it.
Just sign it?
Yeah.
You hear that? I get $5 too? Well, what is it? She says, just sign it.
You ready, ma'am? First name is going to be Carol.
San Francisco.
You ready, ma'am? Your first name is going to be Carol. How insane is this?
Street videographer JJ Smith capturing what appears to be a crime on camera. Paid signature gatherers offering people $5 to sign ballot initiative petitions using other people's names and information.
But again, where did they get the list of names? At the bare minimum, they could just be getting the list of registered voters. But I think this list is probably registered voters that they have verified no longer live here or have passed away. So first of all, who's providing them with the lists? Who's providing them with the money to hand out? And second of all, are they actively aggregating a list of registered voters that they know won't look into this stuff because they're no longer here and just using their name because they know that they're free ballots or free signatures?
Smith shot and posted this video on Monday.
What I seen shocked me and surprised me because they was literally coaching people, telling them what name to sign and what address to put down there. And what was more shocking than that is they had that information printed out already on an official document.
We've learned the signature collectors in Smith's video were doing so for ballot initiatives backed by billionaires fighting a proposed wealth tax. The measures include proposals to invalidate the tax, require audits, and other tax transparency tools. The campaigns for that are known as Building a Better California and Californians for a More Transparent and Effective Government. Another petition was for a separate campaign for a proposed Retirement and Personal Savings Protection Act. All three campaigns acknowledged their petitions were being carried by these signature gatherers. Today, I spoke with representatives for each campaign. All said they were made aware of the video. They're demanding the firm identify these circulators seen in the video and reject their petitions. Campaign officials said the circulators are not directly affiliated with them. They also said they've contacted the appropriate authorities. Smith said none of the proposals were explained to the people in line.
All these people that was lining up for they're down on their luck. I sat there for 2 hours and there was like Man, hundreds of people just came and went.
To be clear, that's not the first time you've seen those signature collectors essentially out there or in the area?
No, I seen it like 4 days ago. Prior to that, they was out there.
Smith told me as of this moment, the campaigns involved have not reached out to him directly, but to take a step back, campaigns hire signature gathering firms. I'm told for anywhere between $15 to $17 a signature. Those firms then hire people to collect the signatures. We still obviously have several questions tonight, such as why do those signature collectors have voter information, and where exactly did they get the extra money to pay people on the street for the apparently forged information?
So this, I mean, to be clear, this could be done by the left or the right. This is ripe for fraud. This whole system that we have for collecting signatures and for ballots, it's ripe for fraud. But more specifically with ballots, the same exact tactic can be used by, I mean, for ballots, it would be more difficult because you have to basically be somebody that has the, well, no, you now, so this ties in with ballot harvesting now. So there's people that are paid to go out and harvest ballots. If you guys don't know what ballot harvesting is, that's people can go around, have a list of registered voters, go knock on their door and say, hey, have you voted yet? I can collect your ballot. Now it's illegal for them to say that they're doing it as part of any political affiliation, but you'll see that that doesn't always happen. So this practice where people are paid to collect signatures, let's transfer this whole thing over to just how would they do this with ballots? How would they do this to swing an election with ballots? Since we have universal mail-in ballots and everybody gets mailed a ballot, and they've made ballot harvesting illegal, people can go door to door. They get paid per ballot by, I imagine, the same types of firms, because like you have here, I'll just play this video for you really quick. So this will probably shock you guys too. So there's a woman going door to door collecting ballots. So just a woman rings the doorbell. She's got a clipboard.
Hey, I'm looking for Brandy. Oh, it's Lulu. I came here to pick up your ballot. Yeah, we're offering this new service, but only to like people who are supporting the Democratic Party. It's a service. I'm just here to pick up your ballot and show you how to do it if you don't know.
Okay, so that right there is illegal. Ballot harvesting is legal. It shouldn't be, but it's legal in California. It's illegal to go and tell someone how to vote. So she's saying she's collecting ballots, but only from people that are going to vote for the Democrat Party. So if you do this and you collect, 100 votes for that are pro-Democrat, she even says, I can show you how to fill out your ballot right there. I mean, you could put these in a separate bag, and you know that this bag full of ballots is all Democrat votes. And you shove those in at the last time. And this is for governor, for state legislature positions, for city council, all that kind of stuff. It can, this very practice, universal mail-in ballots with ballot harvesting, can swing an election. So you guys, our voting system in California is so ripe for fraud that you can't call our elections legitimate. You can't. I mean, and this isn't even factoring in the early voting, the 30 days after the election to count the votes. It's not even factoring that stuff in. It's not even factoring in the voter ID really in this regard. It's, you guys, like, how are we supposed to say that any election's legitimate? I don't understand. Like how, and like the voter ID thing is on the ballot right now. That it looks like they've gotten enough signatures for that, But what about universal mail-in ballots? If you ask me, the universal mail-in ballots thing is even more of an issue than the voter ID thing. Because if there's no universal mail-in ballots and everybody has to go vote in person, even if they don't require ID, if you have to go in person to vote, you're going to have to go up and say, yeah, I'm so-and-so. You're going to have to know the person that you're going to have to, most people are just going to go and vote for themselves. But if you are they going to pay these people to go stand in line at voting booths only on the day of the election? Like, they're not going to be able to do it nearly as much, even if they don't require ID, because that one person can collect way more ballots than they can go vote in person. It's just a time thing. If it's only same day voting, I mean, how long is it going to take you to stand in line and vote as someone else? It's not nearly as efficient. The universal mail-in ballots thing is way more of a problem than the voter ID. They're both problems. They're both huge problems. Ballot harvesting is also a problem, but ballot harvesting wouldn't be an issue. That would just go away if there was no universal mail-in ballots. So I believe that the universal mail-in ballots issue is even more of a problem than the voter ID thing. I mean, our whole system is so ripe for fraud. It's insane.